It is Monday, November 27th, 2023. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. It's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to be back. I apologize to our fans for missing an episode last week, but yeah, I was dealing with some stuff, man. I was sick. I was like real sick, and
Yeah,
I don't usually get sick. I have I've had a good track record with that lately, but this one just got me. There's nothing I could do.
that's all right. That's what we're here for. Sometimes you can't make your start on your start day. Gets pushed back. And you were wise to do that because we've got some great news that happened over the last several days since we last had a show. It's the reason I am donning a St. Louis Cardinals hat, because everybody woke up Monday morning to the news that Sonny Gray is reportedly headed to St. Louis, 3 years, $75 million. This coming on the heels of them signing a couple other mid-30s guys in Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn. John Mozeliak said I needed to rebuild the rotation. How's he doing?
I mean, he rebuilt it. He's got 5, 6 guys, I think, there that can form a big league rotation. We got, I think 3 of their top 4 guys in the top 100 prospects are also pitchers. So there's a little bit of organizational depth. You definitely have built some depth in the rotation. I know he said 3 pitchers and they got 3 starters. I don't know if they're done yet. I think there might be some exploring some avenues in the trade market for them. I think that's kind of where my head goes to. I don't know about like financially committing more to I don't think Yamamoto's necessarily in play, but I guess I won't rule it out. Guys of that free agent class, I don't know if they go there, see Rosie, but there are some guys in the trade market who I think I think it really make this rotation something. And if we get a Sonny Gray, and you have a Michaelis, and then maybe another kind of like a top of the rotation guy there, you have the depth. We like the lineup. You and I both foolishly said last year how much we liked the lineup.
Yes, we
More
did.
than the Braves. There's a lot to like about this Cardinals team. There really is. I do think, yes, they have a rotation, see Rosie. Yes, they filled it out. I think they can do better. I really do. And I think that they might still be in play for some of these guys. But to sign 3 pitchers in the offseason before the winter meetings, that's like I think you have to applaud the front office there. And if you're a Cardinals fan after last year and just kind of the debacle that it was, I think you got to be pretty stoked that the team has taken action this fast. Now, if this was just it and this is all they did, I would think I would grade their offseason at something like I'd give them like a B minus.
Yep.
Right?
C
Like
plus, B minus.
Sonny Gray's that's a big fish that you just got to come there and settle for 3 years. I think they can do better though. How about that?
Okay, if we're being honest, I was bummed when I saw this today.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got to explain yourself. Why?
because I would rather have seen Sonny Gray ink a deal with the Baltimore Orioles,
Okay.
team like that needed him. I would even have rather seen him do it with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I thought he would be the perfect guy. I'm sorry. The Cardinals are coming off their worst season since 1990. Forgive me if I don't have a ton of enthusiasm. And although the first 2 signings are guys that have certainly accomplished a lot at this level, I tweeted today, hey, man, if they're trying to win the over 30 championship, they're on a roll. And that's not a joke. Look at their entire rotation, right? Sonny Gray, how old is he? 34? Lance Lynn's going to be 37 next year. Kyle Gibson's 36. Michaelis is 35. You forget about that. And Steven Matz turns 33 next. He's the kid in the rotation. But so what are we trying to do here? I'm just a little confused by it. I understand Sonny Gray. He finished second in the Cy Young last year. He actually had his best ERA plus over a 2-year span in Minnesota than he had anywhere else, whether it was Oakland or the Yankees or Cincinnati. His best stop so far has been Minnesota when you look at the entirety of his stay. I just was bummed. I thought he was going to be like the final piece to a young rotation. And here we go. And it goes to St. Louis.
Isn't that what they have in St. Louis? I mean, they not a young rotation or a young squad, but they desperately needed somebody to get back to being the Cardinals, man. Like,
I
and, you
understand
can
it.
talk about on the field, like off the field as well, Sonny Gray is going to do wonders for that organization.
I get all that.
We
I'm
talked
not
about
saying
that all last year, how bad it was there in that clubhouse and just kind of like the aura around the Cardinals, which we don't usually say. He's going to be able to alleviate some of that. But like you can say that about any free agent that signs not on this specific team. I'm surprised you have that take, to be honest with you.
No, I'm not. I was bummed. I wanted to see him go somewhere where he was the final piece, not okay, like they're all right. And listen, the Cardinals could turn this around quickly. They really could. They're in a division that is seemingly in transition, right? I think the Cubs are really stepping on the accelerator. I expect them to make some serious moves this offseason. I thought hell, if he had gone back to Cincinnati, that would have been interesting to me. With all those young arms they've got that need somebody to be the ringleader, to be the guy that says, hey, follow me every 5 days. This is how we're going to go do it. Like, I thought that would have been kind of cool. With St. Louis, I'm not saying that it's a bad move at all. I think it's a smart move by the Cardinals. I don't mind what they've done. But if you're asking me as a baseball fan, if I'm super enthusiastic about Sonny Gray going to St. Louis, I'm not.
Okay. I mean, I guess I see your point there, Chris. I guess I see your point. I don't think they're done. I don't think the Cardinals are done.
Oh, I don't
think
either.
Like no one's going to ever use the word sexy when describing the Cardinals. That's just not. We're not. It's just not what they do. They don't do sexy. They do Banana Republic, bro. Like this is what they do. But how long have we talked about like, hey, they have this too many outfielders or too many guys, that are at the big league level. They need to make some room. Like I still think there can be a trade coming.
And guess what? They're going to be selling very low on those guys right now. Very low.
Some of them depends who they sell.
They're not selling Jordan Walker. That's the only guy you would sell high on. The rest of the crew, I don't think nobody's coming off a splash year. You're selling off of the potential, which still could get you something. There are some outfield needy teams out there, so we'll see where they go. In the meantime, news out of the AL Central. Kenta Maeda stays in the division, moving from Minnesota to Detroit, 2 for 24. Detroit had a really solid second half of the season. How close are they to competing to win that division?
I think they're close. I think they're right there. I think they can compete next year in the AL Central. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if, we looked up in August, like we're talking about them being within striking distance. I don't think there's any team that's head and shoulders above anybody else. And look, I'm a Twins guy. Like I want to be praising my Twins, and there are some things you can definitely praise about them. But there's question marks, man. Like that Twins team is really young, and they have some veterans in the rotation, but one veteran in the rotation. There's some young guys in that rotation. There's some young guys up and down the lineup. You can talk more about your Guardians, but like I don't think there's a team there that's like, oh, for sure they're taking it down. I guess the Twins would be that team, but I think like again, there's some question marks there. And the Tigers, yeah, they did have a nice September. They have a couple guys who performed well offensively last year, and they can continue to kind of like take that upward trajectory. Like they're there. They're in the mix at least. Like we need Javi Baez to be motivated and kind of like, I mean, you can't have a 500 OPS, bro. You just can't do that. Like, let's get motivated and get back, and that'll help a lot. But they had some guys step up last year. We talked about McKinstry, Carpenter. We talked about Torkelson. How long we've been talking about him. There's a lot of guys there that you can kind of dream upon. So if you're asking me when or if they can compete, they bring in Canna, which I think is great for their clubhouse and great for their offense. I think they can compete as early as next year. I really do. And I like the Kenta Maeda signing. And it's funny because he came back last year with the Twins, and his first start was against the Tigers, and he did look really good against them. He had that splitter going. He misses a lot of bats. He's not your typical, he's not a power pitcher whatsoever. I mean, he throws 90 miles an hour with his fastball, but it plays up. Like if you're a Tigers fan and you're looking at this guy and saying, well, we got a guy that throws a splitter and a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, trust me, it plays up. This guy can miss bats. I like the signing, and I think that they're closer than a lot of people give them credit for.
This should be the year they go. There's no excuse for them not to be in this thing. In fact, as a baseball fan, I would be disappointed if they didn't take that next step. Right? A lot of it was built around the young pitching, which unfortunately has been injured. Now, Skubal, he came back last year and was phenomenal. Had an ERA under 3. Matt Manning only made 15 starts, but he showed some stuff. Reese Olson, I thought, was really good. We didn't expect a ton from him, and I thought he pitched well. Casey Mize, the former number 1 overall pick, I don't know what you're going to get from him. So Maeda is a nice addition here. It's going to be hard for him to follow up the year that Erod had. He had an all-star first half and was decent enough in the second half. Now, I look at their lineup. As good as Torkelson was in the second half, and he had 19 homers and an over nearly 820 OPS, he's got to continue to grow. Riley Green, stay healthy, my man, because I think that he's on the cusp of being the dude in Detroit. Kerry Carpenter was the only guy out of their position players who had a WAR over 2, and he was barely over 2. So they need to kind of take that next step and grow together, but it's right there. And it wouldn't shock me if they go add another veteran maybe to the outfield and say, yeah, we need one more bat that can be a guy in addition to bringing Mark Canha in. But they're close.
Would you go Twins, Guardians, Detroit?
Not yet. Not yet. The Guardians lineup needs to show me that they're going to improve significantly. I like their rotation a lot still. I would
Twins,
go
Tigers?
Twins, Tigers, Guardians for now, but subject to change. I mean, we'll see how much the Twins are going to cut payroll, and we'll see if the Guardians add any offense. But as of right now, that's the way I see it. And I don't think it's a huge separation between 1 and 3.
All right, so we're kind of in lockstep here. I feel like, we both think that they can compete this year.
Yeah, they can. In fact, I told you I'd be disappointed if they didn't.
Yeah,
I think they need to go make some other moves, but Kenta Maeda is solid. He gave the Twins 100 innings after he came back from injury, so that was good. All right, familiar trade partners back at it again in the middle of last week. Mariners, they shipped third baseman Eugenio Suarez to Arizona for fireball and reliever Carlos Vargas and backup catcher Seby Zavala. More of a thumbs up for the D-backs or a head-scratching move for Seattle?
I always give the positive spin here, C. Rosie, so I'll take the D-backs. I think I love this. I mean, I know I love this move for the D-backs. I really do. For a couple different reasons. I think that Eugenio will give them, stability at the position. I know my guy Longo filled in great there, but by the end of the year, he was platooning, and I think this gives them a chance to just kind of like set it and forget it. And Eugenio can do it on both sides of the ball. So you're going to get, an offensive threat that's going to hit some homers. You're going to get a guy that can play defense, and you're just going to let him go do his thing. There's something about that. Like, I don't got to worry about that. Okay, great. He's our third baseman. Awesome. I think that's great for a Diamondbacks team that just and let this marinate a little bit, C. Rosie, or just think about it. They just went on a World Series run. The Diamondbacks were in the World Series, people. Yep. Like, it's still fun to say that. So I love it for them. I absolutely love it for them, giving up, a backup catcher and a guy. Yeah, he throws hard, but his numbers in AAA weren't great. He has command issues. There's a lot of those guys out there. There's a lot of guys that throw hard with command issues out there. So you're getting a guy for what's 2 years, right? I believe.
No, well, it's the possibility. It's one more guaranteed, and then it could be a $2 million buyout. We'll see what happens.
I love it for them. I don't necessarily understand it from a Mariners standpoint, except that they're trying to get away from strikeouts, and that's part of Suarez's game. So, you get rid of him. I don't know where they're going to go in the third base market. They're not going after Chapman, I don't believe, and they said they're out on Shohei. For me, I want to give praise to the D-backs. Great job. Mariners, I don't know what they're doing.
So I know what the Mariners are doing. They're trying to win 54% of the time. You just listen to their president. That's what they're trying to do.
I know. Don't bring that up right now.
Now, some people just see it strictly as a salary dump. I don't necessarily see it that way. One of the last things you said, I think, was one of the most important, was that they're trying to get away from strikeouts. Last year, they had 3 of the top 8 strikeout guys. Teoscar, probably not coming back. Suarez was number 1 in the American League, and Julio was number 8, I believe. Julio's not going anywhere. So if they utilize that money and take it elsewhere, then I understand this. If they don't, then it is a huge, huge head scratcher for me. Maybe they're looking at Suarez and they say, okay, he hit 22 homers a year ago, which is his fewest in a full season since 2016. So maybe he's at the point of his career where that power is starting to dip. It's okay to strike out 214 times in a year if you're going to hit me 38 bombs. If you're going to hit me 22, I can't have you striking out 214 times. So maybe that's the thing. And they're going to put Urias over at third for now. Like, if you give me the Urias of 2 years ago in Milwaukee, great. If he's what we saw last year between Milwaukee and Boston, that ain't going to be good enough. And let's remember, I think that the Mariners have to answer as much to the guys in that clubhouse as they do to their fans or anybody else. Let's remember what Cal Raleigh said at the end of last season. When they got eliminated, they played the Rangers that last weekend, and they're like, that team spent money. They're going places. Well, little did we know that they were going to go all the way and kiss the commissioner's trophy. They got that ring, baby. Those are not words that should ring hollow at this point. Jerry Dipoto should be on notice. Like, you can't make this move and not have a backfill idea or a major move coming. Because if you don't do anything, that's a massive failure.
MLB trade rumors list a bunch of guys that are available through the trade market too. Guys like Justin Turner, guys like a Gio Urshela. There's other names out there. So yes, like if this is a lateral move and you're bringing somebody else in, and maybe he's making less money, or you're reallocating somewhere else, sure. But show me, man. I got to see it. Yep. Because right now, I think they made their team worse. We don't know what the next move is. I understand that. But I don't think he was the problem.
No, I don't think he's listen.
I don't care that he led the league. I really don't care that he led the league in strikeouts. I do agree with you. You want more power, and usually you do get more power from him. But knowing what I know from that team, he's great in the clubhouse, very well liked.
Great dude.
I love this move for the D-backs. I really do.
Well, let's remember, Seattle basically had to eat Suarez's contract to get the guy that they really wanted in that trade from Cincinnati. Yep. That was Jesse Winker. And it ended up Suarez that outlasted Winker in Seattle. And by the way, you said he's not a good guy in the clubhouse. He is a great guy in the clubhouse. Go talk to anywhere he has been. That dude is A++, right? He's got this saying, good vibes only. Like, that's his thing. You don't come into the clubhouse with a piss poor attitude, no woe is me, and I'm in a 2 for 27 slump. Like, no, like, we're all going to go through that. We take only good vibes, and that's why I love him, and I think that's why he fits in Arizona. All right, let's move on from fact to the Rumorville, which is always my favorite part of the offseason. John Paul Morosi says that if the Cubs do not bring back Cody Bellinger, trading for Bo Bichette could be in the cards, and they would move him to third base. Does that sound insane from Toronto's standpoint?
I don't have a reason. Like, I racked my brain. There's no reason for Toronto to trade Bo Bichette. Like, give me one reason to trade this guy. I will give you one. Okay, you can't sign him long term.
I think you have to. I think they're going to make a choice between because both he and Vladdy are up at the same time.
What, no team's ever signed? Look, the Texas Rangers just signed 2 guys to long-term deals that will cost way more than these 2 guys are going to cost at this point, and they won the World Series. You can do both.
Wait a second. You can't say that. One of them signed for $320 and the other guy signed for $180. Which one of these guys is going to settle for the $180?
Combined 5. You don't think $500 million is going to get it done with these guys?
Okay, but what you're saying is, so you think both of them?
I don't think any of these guys are going to get $300 million. That's what I'm saying.
Really?
I don't think there's no reason to trade either of those guys. Like, you should be actively trying to lock them up. Now, if you've gotten to a stalemate and someone said to you, you're not going to lock me up. And so now what? He's going to be a free agent in 2026. You still have 2 years of Bo Bichette. I don't know, man. I think this is rumor talk. I'd be really mad at the Blue Jays if they traded Bo Bichette. I really would. There's just no reason. This guy's an excellent player with potential to be even better than he already is. He's only got 3 years in the league, which is kind of shocking to me. 3 years, excuse me, this is his 4th year in the league. It's still shocking me. It feels like he's been around forever. He's been producing ever since he's been in the league. That makes your team worse, like big time. And where are you going to find a replacement? I don't care who you trade for.
Do you think that some of these rumors are floating around to try and get him to maybe sign?
No. I mean, I don't know. That's a whole different aspect of free agency.
Okay, so you brought up the big point, which is there aren't a lot of teams where their two stars align where they're going to be free agents. I mean, Vladdy and Bo Bichette are going to be free agents at exactly the same time. They're both in their mid-20s. They're different players, right? I mean, Vladdy has got massive pop. Bo's got plenty of pop, but he's a guy that has twice led the American League in hits. If you had to pay one, if you could only do it in Toronto, which one are you doing?
Gosh, you put me on the spot right here. I think in my mind, straight off, I'm taking Bichette.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't have the numbers up in front of me. I know they're both pretty dang good. Vladdy's had some incredible years. I think he one-dotted it one year. I don't have it up in front of me again, but
he finished runner-up in the MVP a couple of years ago. I'm
always going to pick the middle infielder, especially a guy that can hit like Bo Bichette. Now he doesn't have the power, like you said, of Vladdy, but like he's offensively a threat and can play the middle infield. Some people don't like him at shortstop, but like this guy's an athlete. I think maybe Vlad will age better than anyone thinks. I think Bo Bichette will age a little bit better than Vladdy. There's no wrong answer there also. So you're putting me on the spot, making me look bad, but I would pick Bo Bichette.
There's probably going to be a wrong answer because one will most likely outplay the other over the life of a long-term contract. That's just fact. It usually happens.
You, Chris?
It's funny. I had this conversation with Brady the other day. He's like, I'm taking Bo Bichette every day of the week. I was like, really? Vlad's not going to have to move positions. Some people might be worried about his body as he gets older. I think he's just good. I think he's one of those dudes that's always going to be able to just mash and hit. I know he wasn't great last year. I understand that. I know.
He's had 2 years in his 5 years over an 800 OPS, which is actually, that's shocking to me. He did have the one-daughter year, but every other year besides that, he floats around a 790 OPS.
I'm not saying that there's not room.
So that to me, I'm Team Bo Bichette.
Team Bo Bichette.
Because your attribute that you bring as Vlad is a hitter and power.
By the way, if he is going to get traded, Bo Bichette, the Cubs make a lot of sense here. A lot, I think. I think he would be a perfect addition to what they're trying to do there. I think he would have no problem moving to third base, and they have 6 of the top 100 prospects, including 4 or 5 of them that could make their debut in 2024. So if the Blue Jays are going to get rid of a guy of that ilk, they still want to compete because look at all the money that they poured into that pitching staff in particular. Like, they're not just trading a guy just to say, okay, we're kind of rebuilding on the fly. No, they are still trying to win the World Series next year.
I think Bo Bichette has been one of the worst marketed players in the big leagues. How about that?
That's fair. Totally.
I think this guy is a superstar. He's got the look. He's got the swing. He's got the lineage. Like, he's got everything. And I'm not saying Toronto's not a big market. It is. But if he was on a team that was in the postseason and probably in a team that was in the States with a little more pizzazz or whatever, what have you, I think he could be, like one of the faces of baseball.
I'll take it a step further. I think the Blue Jays, for some reason, to me, they're behind the San Diego Padres, the second most confusing team we've got in this sport. Seriously. Like, I even think they're more confusing than the Mets. I thought the Mets just had a terrible year last year. It was just a bizarre season. But I kind of understood everything. Like, I look at that team in Toronto and I say, what's going on here? Like, they couldn't get a hit against you guys in the playoffs? Weird. Really weird. No, we'll see. I don't think he's going anywhere, but it's fun fodder. All right, last one. Speaking of guys who are getting a little publicity, Randy Arozarena, one of GQ's Men of the Year. Wow, really? Surprising?
A little bit. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
Go baseball. We need that. And Randy's obviously a star. We always talk about that.
Yeah, I love it with the pose and everything. He's fan friendly. He's fun.
He's bringing the top hat back, which is awesome.
Yes, the top hat. I'm a big fan of the top hat and the cane.
A nod to what, like Winston Churchill or something?
Yeah, I don't think Winston Churchill was ever on the cover of GQ. Let me go check that. So let's take this a step further. Who would you like to see as a GQ Man of the Year from our company?
I have two. Easy. One, I'm going to go with Taylor Jackson, who is one of like the heads of our social department. She's crushes it. Well, yeah. Kim Kardashian was a GQ Man of the Year this year.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Did not.
Get in the know, C. Rosie. So Taylor Jackson, I think, will be my number one choice because she's just good at everything and a phenomenal person, and she helps our company out a lot. Sorry, Kyle. I get it. You do it too. The other guy who I think is going to burst onto the scene in the boxing world is Dan Canobio. He's got something going, man. I told him that when we were in Blitzball. I said, you're going to get so famous and leave us, and you're going to be on pay-per-view and doing all these things. Don't forget about us, Dan. He's done a phenomenal job. And usually I talk crap about him, but right now I'm giving him some praise.
Old man Dan. I know. I was thinking about him. I'm going to go with young Ronnie in our business. I'm a big fan. First of all, if you just saw him, he's part-time male model for John Boy Media, right? He's got the whole thing, the whole look. He's got a little bit of swag, quiet confidence, but very complimentary with everything. He's one of our guys behind the scenes that does just does tremendous work, particularly on like the blitzball battles and the floorball and ball and play league. That's where he really shines. Oh, look at that. Look at that picture.
That's him and my brother just chopping it up at the pool hall.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I was looking at the other guy. I didn't know he was friends with Zach Galifianakis. Cool.
Oh, you call my brother Zach Galifianakis?
There's worse things to do. I saw him interviewing people by the plants.
Yeah.
Up there. So, Ronnie, you go do your thing, man. I believe you. I'm buying stock in Ronnie. But 3 very good suggestions. That's really good.
Ronnie and Dan are like a tandem.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
T-Jack still wins for me, though.
Yeah, she's the best. She's the best. I always love it when she sends me a little text on Tuesdays. Don't forget about your John Boy Media football touchdown pick of the week.
I want to be in that. You guys don't include me in that. BS.
Go talk to somebody else. I don't make those decisions, but you would be laps behind me. It's the one thing I'm good at. I nail it every week. I had Jalen Hurts this week. He crushed it. Gave me 2 more touchdowns. I think it's me and Dalton and then the rest of the field, to be honest with you.
Dalton's a psycho. I love him.
He is a psycho. He would not be our GQ Man of the Year, but he would be something.
Nicky Cass punching air right now.
No, we can't. Yeah, we can't. Yeah,
his head is so big. Oh, my God.
All right, listen, we're back at it later in the week. We're going to do this Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Hopefully there will be a little bit more news in the next 48 hours or so. We always appreciate you hanging out. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the uber-talented and now healthy Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday on Baseball Today.